here I'm going to talk about competitive intelligence strategies. And it's a framework how it can stand out versus the competitors. So before I go through the agenda and then explain how I'm going to actually to present like this framework, there is two levers to stand out versus competitors. One is how we can deliver like breakthrough innovations, and who works in the pharma knows that innovations, it's super important to drive like on top of the baseline growth. And the second one, it's about pricing. So how we can have like a value-based price and deliver like a very good equation for your patients and for your consumers. And just a disclaimer before I go to the agenda, so all the information that I have here is actually, it's non-confidential. We can find the investor section for at Reckitt. So just to start in terms of the agenda, I'm going to talk about me and Reckitt. I think there are some people that actually they're not aware about what our company, like what are the brands that the company have. And also, I'm going to talk about the 4 steps to drive business growth through innovations and how you can define the value-based price for your products or services. And also, I'm going to explain how we can define, like, use new methodologies for research, define like the optimal price. And last but not least, how actually return this framework to business outcomes at Reckitt. So that's the agenda. Just to start about me and Reckitt. So I think, as you can see about my accent, so I'm half actually Brazilian, half Italian. I'm based in London. So I also have a bachelor degree in marketing finance in Brazil and a master in business at Babson College in Boston. And in terms of my professional background, actually I started my career at the JJ. Then I moved to Unilever as a trainee, and my last position was consumer market insights manager for Latam. Then I joined the Germany companies, which I really like the experience to work in German companies and have like German colleagues. So in 2016, I joined Bersdorf as a category innovation insights for Americas. And in 2018, I joined BSF as responsible for consumer innovation insights for South America. And since 2019, I joined like Reckitt as head of insights analytics for Brazil, and then my last position is the global head of category insights analytics for the gastro business. And just to give a bit of numbers about like Reckitt, so we have more than 40,000 employees. So Leandro is here as well. He presented like yesterday. So we have like more than 200 years of heritage, 2 million products sold like daily, 14.6 billion pounds. Actually, this is like 2021, but it's 14.2 in this last year. We have like three global business units and 60 countries over 6 continents. And we have like a long-standing and trusted brands. So as you can see here, like we have a breadth of portfolio in terms of CPG products, but also pharmaceutical, OTC, and medicines. So now that I have presented Reckitt and who I am, so let's go through the data. So the 4 steps to drive business growth through innovations. So I think just to set the context, and this is like a research from IQVIA. When you like try to understand why 75% of the innovations actually it's a failure, and then this also can see from a Nielsen data. So the biggest innovation challenge that we have is because we actually lack of understanding the consumer or patient needs. So I think that's one of the critical points that we really need to deep dive and understand what drives like for consumers to select your brand, select your product or your service. So this is super important. The second main challenge is about budget and resource. So we need to actually allocate like enough investment behind of the innovation to make sure that they drive awareness and trial. And last, the third topic is about speed and time. So sometimes, especially the who works in pharmaceutical sites, so we know that we need to do like clinical tests, and this like an average it's like 5 years to launch like any medicine. So, and then if we go to US, for example, that we have a FDA takes like 10 years in average. So it's really, really like challenging in terms of timing. So how we can really accelerate and have like innovation large in a pace way. And another, and because of these consumer needs, that's why I'm going to talk about demand space. So demand space is a methodology from Boston Consult Group. So actually I was part of the first global project with Boston Consult Group at Reckitt when I joined in Brazil. And basically what like this framework or methodology, they help us to really identify what are the consumer needs and what are the category drivers for your brand or for your service. And then essentially, you can really understand what are the demand areas that you need to focus to really address like consumer needs. And this go through like emotional needs, functional needs, and technical needs. And here's just like to give a bit of like a tangible area for you to understand what's demand space. It's always start about the consumer problem. So for example, the first one here, how can hygiene can be the foundation for health? So when you talk about hygiene products, how we can really, really deliver, for example, for the Lysol brands, like how can deliver like this health for as a foundation for these categories. And this go through like all the examples as well. For example, for the self-care, how you can really like actually translate this in a really good products like Gaviscon, that's the brand at the work, Nurofen, that really delivers like what the consumer needs. So this is like examples how you can really understand the demand space that you need to focus on your product and service. The second point is about market dynamics and competitors assessment. So it's super important for you to really understand the landscape in your market. And I mean, especially who works in pharma side. So we know that the regulatory plays a big role in terms of the segment dynamics. So it's super important for you to understand the impact of your local or regional registration regulations and really see like what are the requirements on the innovation. And also have the external facts that affect the markets. For example, if you go to emerging markets, you would need to consider inflation, for example. So this is like some examples that you need to consider when you think about your innovation. Also the competitive framework, so understand what's the strengths and weakness of your competitors and how you can find like a sweet spot for your brand or for innovation. And also the last but the commercial framework. We know that, for example, for you to be able to be like available on the shelves in the pharma, like Boots, like a DM here. Anyway, you need to really, really invest in trades and make sure that you have the right investment to get the attraction from the customers. The third topic is about deep dive on consumer and shopper insights. As I told you before, we always start with the demand space, but then after you really understand what are the macro areas that you should focus, we need to deep dive in the consumer. And then we start to use it and attitudes for your category, for example, which are the key benefits they're looking for, the usage habits for your category, like the likes, dislikes, the unmet needs that you need to focus to deliver your innovation. The second one is about the consumer journey. So how we can really understand the touch points that you have for your brands. And then we go to the test innovation with the ID screener and concept test. So all of this foundation action is going to help you to have like a better proposition for your consumer. And last but not least is about having like a launch excellence in place. So we really need to define the key success criteria for your innovation, and you need to track this launch to make sure that what you have designed for your innovation actually are delivered versus the KPIs. So this is super important to have like this diligence on the innovation, because then you can make sure that it's not going to be a failure. As I said, like that 70% of the innovations actually they're flop in the markets. So, and then after we actually define your foundation for innovation, how you can define the value-based pricing. And I think this is one of the main key points, because sometimes we define like the price, and this can actually drive us, like for example, a situation where like consumers are not liking to buy your product because it's a high price. So how you can find the value-based price of our innovation. And again, everything starts again with demand-centric growth. So it's really, really like find the superiority of your product and bring this like for the consumers to make sure that you can have this value price perception. And this go through like, for example, really have like superior delivery in terms of emotion and technical and functional attributes to be able to have like a value-based price. And DCG actually, they help you to redefine the product. So for example, here there is an example of those domestic airlines. So instead of like you talk about like flights, you're going to talk about like trips, because you bring like some emotional lens to for the product. And for example, another one, instead of like you talk about run-based alcohol, you talk about beach experience. So it's really like bringing some emotion lens for the product, which you're going to change the value-based perception. And the demand space are based on the following principles. We will start with the prioritization of your demand space based on the size of the opportunity. Then really anchor your brand in that demand space. And also we have your portfolio in that areas to really, really deliver what the consumer are expecting for your category or your business. Okay. And then so I think another question is how you can really, really find this optimal price, right? Because as soon as you have defined this unique like proposition, so you need to have the right methodology for your research to find your price. There is a really nice methodology which is action-based experiments using actual money. So this company, they really like they give the money for the consumers to buy your category, and then you define the action the price that you're willing to pay. And this actually helps you to understanding the price value proposition that you have for your innovation. And this is really, really try to understand how much they are willing to pay. I'm sorry, I don't know why it changed like this design. The highest bidders purchase actually the parts. It's what is going to be in the markets, and also they give the realistic view of the demand. So because it's like the actual the money, so they can really understand what's the proposition, what's the price that the consumers are willing to pay. And another one also is the A/B testing or choice-based testing. So it's really having bringing like the pharmaceutical shelves for the consumers to buy your product and see price difference between in your category. So and then you can really understand what are they willing to pay for your brand also versus your competitors. And this can give you like a bit of sense how the consumers are seeing your innovation and understand the value-based price for your product. And you can also leverage some tools to support your decision on pricing. So for example, there are some end-to-end like marketing sites platform that you can use to really understand like more the consumer. Also, another key factor is to really have like some prediction data to understand like consumer behavior, or even like the trends for your business to shape your service. And I mean, there are several, like I think like AI is another factor that can help you to understand like get more data and price. And also can use some analytics like data to help you on this journey. And after we have developed this framework, how actually we put it like in place at Reckitt. So here's just like some highlights. This is actually is from 2023 results, because we have started to use this methodology in 2022. But just to give a bit of a sense how we actually are driving the growth for all the categories, especially like in the OTC business. So as you can see here, like we grew like 11% versus 2019, and just showing like that actually innovations with the value, price, and with a unique proposition can drive growth. And also all the categories like germ protection, intimate wellness, and vitamins is growing around 7%. And it's all about like bringing new proposition. So as you can see here, like premiumization is one of the factors, how we can actually create a new category, for example, and how we can drive penetration with new benefits that our consumer are looking for. And also about executing with excellence, how you can bring this excellence in place. As I have mentioned, this launch program, excellence. So it's super important for you to understand the performance and track the performance of innovation to make sure that in the end of the year or in the end of the project innovation, you achieve the success criteria that you have defined in the beginning of the innovation project. So just summarize what I said. I think we have like 6 key takeaways here. I think the first thing is about how you can align the innovation or the price based on your business strategy and project goals. Everything starts with that because then you can really, really understand what you should look for and where you need to put your energy based on the business objective. The second one is about segmentation. As I said about the demand-centric growth, you need to understand how different your customer is, and then perceive the value of the product based on this segmentation. Then the third point, which links also with the segmentation, is the demand-centric growth, how you can identify the key value drivers of your innovation and really quantifying them, like in terms of the size of the price, to really help you to focus on are the unmet needs or which are the key benefits that you need to deliver. And just to give a bit of example to be more tangible, I work with the Gaviscon, that's the medicine to relieve heartburn indigestion. We know that the hygiene factor to work to have like this category, consumers are looking for fast relief. So that's the main benefit that we need to deliver as a hygiene factor to play in this segment. But we also know that long lasting is another benefit that's quite of unmet need in this category. So if you really need to deliver this long lasting benefit, can help you to stand out versus the competitors. And this demand-centric growth framework can help you to identify these like values drivers for your brand. I also discussed about like pricing and I think that action-based pricing, which we call it like psychological like pricing behavior, can help you to define what's the pricing that consumers are willing to pay for your innovation or for your product. Another thing that we also say about pricing, you really need to anchor to perceived value and not cost. So because you know that if you're going to like start a war in terms of the pricing, you're always going to lose versus generics or versus private label. So it's really, really identifying and bringing this value perception for your innovation. And last but not least, you need to test and iterate like the price and the innovation. So if you have investment in research to really understand if this innovation is going to work in the market, can help you to really have like a best proposition based on the consumer response and consumer needs. I think that's it. Thank you, Shu. Any questions?
Any questions from the audience?
I have one.
Yeah.
So I think you touched very lightly about Reckitt internalizing some of these capabilities. So first you talked about the demand-centric growth and then the forecasting capabilities, which is now handled internally. Besides cost saving, which is one of the clear benefits of doing this movement, do you see any other benefits in doing this in-house as opposing of doing this with third parties as Reckitt used to do?
Yeah. I think for me, it's when you bring this capability internally, it's really to scale up like the team, right? It's really learning how to use because then, especially for demand-centric growth, it's because you're going to be the proprietor of the data that you're doing. So usually the demand-centric growth, you need to have a research of the minimum 5,000 consumers. So, and then if you conduct like this project with BCG, all this data is going to be with the BCG company. And if you do like internally, actually you're going to collect all this data. I think for me, when you bring like this capability internally, it's the proprietary of the information that you're going to have, and the potential can use this data for AI, for example, solutions that we are using right now. It's all because we have like this DCG data foundation, because we bring this capability internally. And just reply to your question. So I think it's really like bringing this expertise internally, but also all the data that you're going to collect using these frameworks.